Hello, Jungle Jogging here with another video. Um, in the past, I've made a few videos showing how strong the position of creation is, and I've given a few examples of why creation has been around since creation, because it happens to be, our history happens to be true. And I've showed how strong that position is, because there has to be a maker. But I haven't spent too much time showing how weak the alternate position is that objects made us. So I'm gonna spend a little time on that. Start out with is that there's people are confused about science. You know, science, the authority of science. That's because there's two different kinds of sciences. There's one which is observational science. That's what gives us all our technology, all our knowledge, all the information, all the practical uses that we've come to enjoy, and we live like kings today, many of us, most of us, compared to the average person of many years ago because of it. So people are thinking, well, okay, science, has been able to make possible all these wonderful things, not by magic, but by knowledge, by technology. So they say, well, okay, yeah, then maybe science can tell us about our origins, or tell us how we should live, how we should live morally, or what's morally true and accurate, which is a huge leap from one to the other, because one is observational science and the other is theoretical science. And theoretical science is not based on any fact. Even observational science, if this person is honest, can't be pinned down or can't be identified as being anything being fact, because of the fact that everything's so elusive. Everything, substances and matter, material and elements are so elusive as to what they even are. So observational science is extremely difficult to get a hold of, and much less theoretical science, which there's no evidence about or no information about. And that's just the point, is that there's no evidence of a biogenesis. There's no evidence of evolution. It's all imagination. It's all fantasy. It's all assumption. It's all conjecture. There's no reality to it. It's beyond uh, insane. It's beyond going out of your mind. It's like it's living in Never Land. It's because what what you have to prove, when it gets down to it, when it's all boiled down, you get the bare elements, and what it's all boiled down to is whether or not physical objects and matter made us what we are today. And there's absolutely no evidence that objects can get together and self-assemble and replicate until they start replicating something that works, and then it keeps changing and keeps changing and keeps changing and keeps changing, because that's not what actual science shows us. It's not what actual history tells us. Actual science tells us a very different story. Actual science shows us that these elements and stuff can't possibly come together. You can't possibly come up with amino acids. You can't possibly come up with um, functional proteins that store, that make up information and store information and continually morph. There is no evidence of any morphine in the biological life forms. Biological life forms don't morph into other things. They just don't. They tried to do it with fruit flies for years and years and years. They tried to morph the fruit fly, and they failed because a given program, a given function can only replicate what it is. It can't remain viable. It can't become something else and remain viable. The viability is what keeps it what it is, so that it can't change, can't possibly change to something else. Now the problem that we have is that people and scientists, teachers, are teaching children a fantasy. They're teaching a doctrine, a false teaching to children, things that cannot possibly be proven. There is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that any of it ever occurred at any time. No part of it. No part of it is true. No part of abiogenesis is true. No part of evolution is true. It's contrary to the evidence that we have in the fossil records of all kinds of individual family trees. It's contrary to logic. It's contrary to reason. It's just absolute nonsense. Anybody who is not negating facts can know that we have a maker. Anybody can know that. It has to do with a will. It has to do with a heart. It has to do whether or not you want to listen to a maker. You want to listen to your God, to the God that made you. He knows everything about you. He knows what you need. He knows what's best for you. He knows what's right for you. There's all kinds of moral implications for having a maker. And it's not that there's no evidence of it, it's that you don't want it to be true. You don't want it to be true. You want to do what you think is right, what you think is better to do. You just want it because you want it. You want what you want. Not for any reason, but it's because what you want. It's not because you're listening to any reason. It's not because you're listening to linear logic. It's not because you're listening to any truth or paying into any truth. It's just because you want to do whatever you want to do without considering anything else. And that's always runs to failure. It always runs to ruin. It always runs to destruction. We see that in our society right now. Our society is running for destruction. It's running headlong to destroy itself. Look at the national debt. You're running headlong to destroy yourself, and nobody cares. Look at homosexuality. You're running headlong to destroy, completely wipe out any semblance of value in society and morals there is, and nobody cares. Everybody's this one party train headed toward disaster. And it's because of you scientists that have been lying to children for years and years and years, saying that there's no maker. You've been lying to people. You've been telling people that they magically came from mud and became creatures and morphed and morphed and morphed and morphed and morphed, when it's a lie. It's a lie. You have to stop lying to people. Look where it's taking us. Look where it's leading to us. It's destroying us. You have to know that the Word of God is true. It's all true. We do have a nature for sin, for corruption. And that's what the whole problem is. And there's only one hope. Only our Maker can save us. Our Maker is the only one. He made us. He's the only one that can save us. There is nobody else. There is nothing else. There is nobody else. That's why our Maker himself was born of a woman, like it said in Genesis. Our Maker born of a woman to take the punishment that we deserve himself, because there is nobody that was perfect. There is nobody could make the complete payment for our sin. Nobody else could. So he raised our debt himself because of his love for us. And all we have to do is forgive each other and tell the truth. That's all we have to do. And live by the truth, which is live according to his word, which is according to truth. It's that simple. Now you complicate something that's so simple. All you have to do is tell the truth. All you have to do is believe the truth. It's so simple. Just do the right thing. Tell the truth.